remember, in homiletics, we were talking about sermon preparation, and there are steps. So what are the things we need to look at? We need to look at the theme, developmental ideas, structure, fourth, meaning, theology, and then outline, support material, and sermon, right? So that is how many? 4, 5, 6, 7 steps in making a sermon. So while we were looking at in our theme project, we were basically looking at these 3 ideas. All right, we were looking at the developmental ideas and how the structure and what is the theme, right? So those things we looked at. Now we need to look at 2 other things, right? Meaning and theology. Meaning and theology in the sermon development. Having understood the theme of a passage will not help us in preparing a sermon. We need now, as we know the theme, now we need to explain it, right? So how are we going to explain? Now let's look at the text, what we saw yesterday, right? Yesterday. What we in now, this is interpretation. So what I have done is that I've looked at some of the commentaries and trying to explain how. So what is our responsibility? So once you know the theme, now you have to explain important words, right? Identify key words, right? Identify keywords. So what is that in the passage of 1 Peter chapter 1? Chapter 5, verse 1 to 4. What are the key words? The first word is elder, right? So we ask the question, who are elders? Is elders talking about someone who is matured in the age, or someone who is the pastor, right? So I say elders are leaders in the congregation, not simply older men when comparing with the first 5, right? So I am looking at the passage itself to understand the meaning. Verse 5 only refers to the older people, when verse 1 clearly refers to the leaders. So I have expositor commentary, other commentaries I have looked at to find out. It says, yes, elders need to be older in the faith, but be men of character. Age is not the core factor of leadership, right? So I'm trying, this is Thomas Reiner and how he explains it. So what I do, I look at that term, I go to some commentaries. Here you need some commentaries to see how various commentaries explain this, right? Each term, right? So that is elders. The another important term in that passage is, the witness of suffering of Christ. What does that mean? So we will ask the question, what does that mean? You have a word, right? You know what it says. You know what it says. But the question now is what it means. It is easy to say what it says, but we have to understand what it means. So, witness of the suffering of Christ. What does that mean? Context clearly indicates that the sufferings are not eyewitnesses necessarily, but going down the path of Christianity, the path that Christ lived an exemplary manner. So the term witness in Greek comes, whatever it is there. You have to come up with the explanation of what it says, right? So the witness of sufferings of Christ. It is not one suffering, but it is sufferings of Christ. So it may have some other things as well, right? So this is it they were witness of suffering that Jesus went through, or they were witness of the suffering because of Jesus Christ, right? So suffering of Christ, what does that mean? Yes, you need to explain it, right? What is the suffering of Christ? Are they witnessed the suffering that Jesus went through? Is that the text to talk about? Or is it, were the witness of the suffering because of Jesus Christ? So you need to look at that one. Another one, partaker of the glory to be revealed. Yes. So what is that? Some people would say this is talking about transfiguration, but it clearly says partaker of the glory to be revealed. So maybe it is talking about something future reward, maybe. So you need to come up with an explanation, right? So your duty will be to explain everything in the passage. Look at the next one, shepherds. Who are the shepherds? Yes, you are required to explain. They are to oversee the sheep or the flock. Elders are equated here with the shepherds and overseers. So they, you need to explain, right? Any terms that requires explanation, you have to explain. Another term, sordid gain. What does that mean? Sordid gain refers to people who are greedy and love money. Greedy in the sense of the text refer to not only to the greed and love of money, but dishonest gain. So sordid gain, there are some people who work for dishonest gain, right? So you are explaining every term, and I have given, see, but providing to be examples of the flock. What does that there means? So if you look at some of the commentaries, they would give you some clues how this actually is going to be means, or what is the meaning. And when chief shepherd appears, right, what does that chief shepherd appears will receive unfading crown of glory? What does that mean? What is the significance of those terms? So if you look at some of the commentaries will help you to find out the meaning, to interpret the text. Maybe a little more, it's a help. Yes, do you need a commentaries all the time? I would say it's always highly appreciable to use commentaries. And commentaries are great wealth. So, but it's not that easy to get to, but even if you go to the Google, if you Google it, I think now there are multiple commentaries available, right? It's doable. So what I say here, identify keywords, right? I identified elders, witness of suffering of Christ, partaker of glory to be revealed, shepherds, sordid gain, but proving to be examples to the flock. And when Christ's shepherd appears, you will receive unfading crown of glory. These are the terms that I have identified. All right. Now, point number B, identify the question in the text, raising, content, construction, or conflict. Second, identify the questions. For example, what is an elder? What question, right? What does elder mean in the context with the verse 5? If you look at that, I have tried to explain. What does this being partaker of the glory that is to be revealed mean? When is the glory to be revealed? Who are partakers? What is meant by being a witness of the suffering of Christ? Where these persons there when Christ was crucified? Where is that? What does sordid gain mean? A lot of money or dishonest gain? What does that mean? When does chief shepherd appear? What is the crown of glory to be received? See, look at how many questions are there in the text. How many questions are there? And my responsibility is to answer every question.